Welcome to Essential English Only.
Your practical English lessons in podcast format.
Hi, I'm Alex, your English teacher who only teaches what you'll actually use.
Many people think that technology begins with perfect ideas or beautiful visions. But the real beginning of the OpenAI story was practical. It did not start with a dream. It started with decisions, opportunity, and competition. It started with people like Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and Greg Brockman, each one looking at the fast growth of artificial intelligence and understanding something simple. Whoever entered early would have a strong advantage in the future. AI was moving fast, and they did not want to stay behind. For someone learning English, this story shows how big projects really grow. They do not appear ready. They move through mistakes, pressure, money, and work. Sam Altman was already a well-known figure in Silicon Valley. He had contact with startups, investors, and researchers. Elon Musk had interest in industries that change quickly and require risk. Greg Brockman had strong technical experience and knew how to build engineering teams. Each one had different motivations, but all of them saw that artificial intelligence would be important for the economy and for technology. The creation of OpenAI involved investment, risk, and competition. It was not a perfect mission. It was a reaction to the fast growth of companies like Google and DeepMind, which were already building advanced AI systems. The founders knew that if they stayed still, they would lose space. They wanted to participate in the next technological race. Stay with me until the end, because you will see how real decisions, not romantic ideas, shaped this story from the beginning. Before we continue, write in the comments which country you are watching from. It is always interesting to see people from so many places learning English here. Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and Greg Brockman did not think in the same way. They had different views about the future of AI and different concerns about the risks. But they all knew that AI would be powerful in the next years. That is why they invested time, money, and reputation. Big projects do not begin because everyone agrees. They begin because different people see value in the same place. Even with all these differences, learning English through this story can feel easier when you focus only on what is essential. You do not need to understand every technical detail. You only need to follow step by step. Focus on the essential. Now let us enter the first part of the story. To understand how OpenAI really started, we need to look at the technology world at that time. Around the year 2015, companies like Google were already building advanced artificial intelligence systems. Google had bought DeepMind, a company working with complex models that could learn patterns by themselves. This caught the attention of investors and leaders in Silicon Valley. There was a growing belief that AI could soon pass humans in many tasks. This feeling created urgency. Whoever moved early would have an advantage in the future. Sam Altman was one of the first people to act. He already had access to researchers, entrepreneurs, and investors. Sam studied the progress of AI and saw that models could already play games, recognize images, and learn from large amounts of data. This was enough for him to understand that AI was no longer only theory. It could generate real economic power. He talked about long-term risks, but he also saw the financial opportunity behind the technology. At the same time, Elon Musk was watching carefully. He had experience with high-risk industries, such as electric cars and space exploration. When he saw how fast Google and DeepMind were moving, he understood that AI could dominate entire markets. His decision to join OpenAI was not driven only by fear of risks. He also wanted to stay close to a technology that could change many industries, including those connected to his own companies. Being inside the movement was safer than being outside. Greg Brockman's role was different. He came from Stripe, where he worked as a chief technology officer. Greg knew how to build large engineering systems. He understood that OpenAI needed real infrastructure, computers, servers, teams of engineers, and a place where models could be tested again and again. Without this structure, no research would move forward. Greg helped turn ideas into actual experiments. In the beginning, this group did not have a perfect plan. Their move was strategic, not romantic. They wanted to compete with large companies and explore the possibilities of artificial intelligence. Many experiments failed. Many models produced results that made no sense. But that is normal in technology. Every failure shows the next direction. Progress comes from repetition, not luck. During this early period, the international competition for AI became stronger. Companies from China and the United States started investing heavily. Every month, new research came out, and the race became more intense. This made the OpenAI team feel even more pressure. They needed to hire fast, train models fast, and make decisions fast. Otherwise, they would lose their position. For someone learning English, this part of the story shows something simple. Nothing strong grows without pressure. You also learn English step by step, and you only notice real progress after some time. The same thing happened with OpenAI. When we look at this phase calmly, we see that OpenAI did not begin with a perfect idea. It began because the world was moving fast and they needed to move too. That is the real beginning of the story. After the early phase, OpenAI began to face a simple and hard challenge. Training large models costs a lot of money. We are not talking about small values. Even in the first years, each large experiment needed expensive computers, big teams, and long processing time that could last weeks. For a new organization, this created constant pressure. In this phase, Greg Brockman played an essential role. He knew that to train better models, OpenAI needed real infrastructure. This meant building clusters of computers, organizing energy use, hiring engineering teams, and creating systems to test and correct models many times. Most of this work did not appear to the public, but it was what truly allowed the models to evolve. Without this structure, progress would stop. At the same time, Sam Altman tried to balance two things: keeping OpenAI alive and finding ways to fund it. He saw clearly that the amount of money needed to compete with large technology companies was much greater than what they imagined in the beginning. The public message was open research, but the reality was different. Big models were too expensive to stay completely open or free. This contradiction created internal tension. Elon Musk began to disagree more and more with the direction of the organization. He believed that the research should move faster, and that OpenAI should compete directly with big technology companies. There were also disagreements about leadership. Elon and Sam had different ideas about speed, strategy, and control. Elon wanted acceleration. Sam wanted structure. These differences created frustration on both sides. Another point was financial pressure. Elon realized that funding OpenAI alone would be too heavy. Training models was getting more expensive, and he already led companies like Tesla and SpaceX, which also required a lot of capital. Slowly, this combination of disagreement, cost, and leadership conflict pushed him toward leaving the organization. His exit was not for one single reason. It was the result of several factors: strategic differences, financial limits, different views about risk, and disagreements about the future. After Elon Musk left, OpenAI entered a reorganization phase. Sam Altman took more responsibility and guided the project with a more pragmatic approach. He understood that to continue research, they needed new financial models. The original idea of fully open research no longer matched the real cost of training large models. Without money, nothing would move.
Is this making English easier for you? Then hit that like button. I never asked you for anything before.
Meanwhile, the researchers continued working on language models. These models learned by analyzing large amounts of text. They tried to predict the next word, repeating this process millions of times. This training required data, computing power, and patience. Many attempts failed. Many models produced strange or useless results. But that is exactly how AI grows: error, attempt, adjustment, and repetition. Greg Brockman became even more important in this phase. He managed teams, organized experiments, and solved technical problems daily. It was common for a model to spend weeks training and then fail at the end. This created frustration, but also showed where improvements were needed. Training large AI models is like pushing a heavy stone up a hill. Progress is slow. You only notice the difference after a long time. With Elon out, OpenAI needed to rethink its identity. The message of research open for everyone became weaker. The reality was clear. Companies like Google had almost unlimited resources. If OpenAI wanted to compete, it needed partnerships, investments, and financial support. The change caused criticism, but it was necessary to keep the project alive. Even for someone learning English now, this phase of the story shows something simple. Big results come with pressure, frustration, and small steps. Learning a language works the same way. You repeat, correct, and try again. When we look at everything together, the core of this phase is simple. OpenAI was not driven by a perfect mission. It was driven by the need to stay in the race for artificial intelligence. Research, investment, and competition were the real engines of progress. The next block will show the moment when the organization changed its financial structure, made new deals, and began building the models that later became ChatGPT. After Elon Musk left, the organization needed money and structure. OpenAI created a new model called limited profit. This meant that investors could put money into the company and receive returns, but only up to a predefined limit. It was a practical decision. Without this structure, the project could not continue. The cost of training large models was too high. The idea of keeping everything open and accessible no longer matched the financial reality. With this new structure, OpenAI was able to look for bigger partners. One of the most important moves was the partnership with Microsoft. Microsoft wanted to grow in the artificial intelligence field and saw value in OpenAI's research. For OpenAI, this partnership meant something simple: access to massive computing power, money for research, and technical resources that would be impossible to obtain alone. With this partnership in place, Greg Brockman's team gained the ability to train much larger and more advanced models. They experimented with different structures, adjusted code, organized data sets, and performed thousands of tests. Training artificial intelligence is not a magical process. It is heavy repetition. It involves models processing data for days and nights, failing, being corrected, and trying again. Many early versions were unstable, produced strange answers, or made basic mistakes. But each failure showed what needed to be improved next. During this period, Sam Altman focused on external strategy. He negotiated with partners, talked to investors, and explored ways to integrate AI into real products. Greg Brockman concentrated on internal operations. He managed engineering teams, supervised technical decisions, and ensured that training cycles continued even when problems appeared. This division of responsibilities made the organization more efficient. Inside OpenAI, strong discussions appeared. Some researchers believed the company should keep everything open. Others thought that full openness was dangerous because powerful models could be misused. These debates were intense and showed how complex the situation was. But in the end, the practical side won. Some research became public, some research stayed private. It was a balance between safety, strategy, and survival. During this time, the global competition increased even more. Google, Meta, and several companies in China accelerated their artificial intelligence projects. The race became aggressive. No company wanted to fall behind. and this forced OpenAI to continue moving at high speed. The environment was not calm or comfortable. It was pressure every day. As the models improved, they began to show new abilities. They could answer questions, generate long texts, explain simple ideas, and simulate conversations. These abilities caught the attention of companies and the public. The team understood that they were building something more powerful than previous tools. What started as an experimental project was becoming a technology capable of changing how people work and communicate. The next block will describe the arrival of GPT-3, the creation of ChatGPT, and how these advances changed OpenAI's place in the world. With the new resources and with access to Microsoft's infrastructure, OpenAI was able to train larger and more powerful models. One of the first major milestones of this new phase was GPT-3. This model received global attention because it was far more advanced than anything created before. It could write long texts, answer complex questions, and even copy different writing styles. But it is important not to create a myth around it. GPT-3 did not appear suddenly. It was the result of years of tests, failures, adjustments, and thousands of hours of training. The creation of GPT-3 required an enormous number of computers working together. The model was trained on huge collections of text. It learned by detecting patterns, such as common words, sentence structures, and frequent ways humans express ideas. This process is repetitive and not magical. It is computational force. It is trial and error on a large scale. Every version that failed helped improve the next one. Greg Brockman played a direct role in this phase. He coordinated the engineering teams working with gigantic models, making sure experiments continued even when something broke or results were disappointing. This work did not appear in public announcements, but it was the foundation for every advancement. Meanwhile, Sam Altman worked on the external side. He talked to partners, governments, and companies interested in using AI to create new products. When GPT-3 was presented to the public, the reaction was immediate. People realized that artificial intelligence could now produce complete text without needing detailed instructions. Companies started imagining commercial uses. Developers built tools using the model. This increased the pressure on OpenAI because now the whole world was watching. The organization needed to show stable results and deal with concerns about accuracy, safety, and real-world impact. But the true turning point was the creation of ChatGPT. The idea was simple. Take a large model and build an interface that anyone could use. For the first time, the public could talk directly with an AI. This changed everything. Millions of people tested the tool in the first days. OpenAI realized that it had created something for everyday use, not just for specialists. The success of ChatGPT brought new challenges. The organization had to expand teams, create safety systems, moderate content, and respond to concerns about truth, privacy, and responsible use. Large models can make serious mistakes. They can generate false information or reflect bad patterns from the data they learn. Because of this, the team worked intensely on control systems and behavior adjustments. Inside the company, tensions increased. Some people wanted to move faster. Others believed the technology was becoming too powerful and needed limits. Sam Altman tried to balance both perspectives, but the rapid growth of ChatGPT made this balance fragile. Internal crises started to appear. Discussions about safety, speed, and responsibility became stronger. At the same time, global competition increased. Google, Meta, and other companies around the world launched their own models. The race for AI became global and aggressive. It was clear economic interest, not philosophy. Companies wanted to release products, attract users, and secure market leadership. OpenAI needed to respond quickly, even knowing the risks. All these elements, fast growth, external pressure, and internal conflict, prepared the environment for the most turbulent phase in OpenAI's history, which would arrive soon after. As ChatGPT spread globally, OpenAI entered a phase of internal tension. The organization was no longer small. It was being watched by governments, companies, investors, and the media. This made every decision heavier and more complicated. The faster the company grew, the more difficult it became to control all parts of the process. Inside OpenAI, two main groups started to form. One group wanted to move faster. They believed the company should continue accelerating the development of new models and use the momentum to grow even more. The other group wanted more limits. They believed the technology was becoming powerful too quickly and needed stronger safety controls. Both sides had strong arguments, and both believed they were protecting the future of the company. In the middle of this, Sam Altman became the point of conflict. Some members of the board felt he was moving too fast and not sharing enough information. Others inside the organization believed he was the reason the company had reached its position. This disagreement created an atmosphere of uncertainty. The crisis exploded when the board suddenly removed Sam Altman from his position. The announcement surprised almost everyone: employees, partners, and even people close to the company. The explanation from the board was vague. They mentioned problems with communication, but did not give clear examples. Many employees discovered the news at the same time as the public. The reaction inside the company was immediate. A large number of employees publicly disagreed with the decision. Many said they would leave the organization if Sam did not return. Brockman, who had also been removed from the board, left OpenAI in protest. The organization was close to falling apart. In just a few days, one of the most important AI companies in the world was facing a complete breakdown. At the same time, major partners reacted. Microsoft, which had invested billions into the company, needed stability. They did not want the project to collapse. The crisis was no longer an internal matter. It affected investors, the market, and the entire technological environment that depended on the company's work. After several days of pressure, meetings, and negotiations, the situation changed. The board could not maintain its decision. Sam Altman was invited to return. Greg Brockman returned as well. And the board was reorganized. It was a clear message. The structure inside the company needed to improve, and decisions had to be more transparent. This crisis revealed something important. OpenAI had grown too fast, and the internal controls were not strong enough to support so much pressure. Even companies at the center of global technological progress can face confusion, mistakes, and power struggles. Growth brings opportunity, but also conflict. After Sam Altman returned, the company moved quickly again. New projects resumed, new models were developed, and OpenAI continued to position itself as one of the leaders in artificial intelligence worldwide. After stability returned, OpenAI entered a phase of consolidation. New models were trained, new tools were created. The company expanded its research into voice systems, vision systems, and autonomous agents. All of this required enormous computing power and constant testing. Even with all the progress, the base of the work remained the same: long cycles of training, many mistakes, many corrections, and repetition. The technology did not grow through magic. It grew through effort. Around the world, companies began to adopt artificial intelligence. Some moved fast, using AI to create new services. Others moved slowly, worried about risks. AI can help, but it can also create problems if used without control. This forced every business to think carefully before integrating these models into important activities. The economic impact also became clear. The demand for AI created new startups, attracted billions in investment, and pushed large companies into a strong competition. Google, Microsoft, Meta, companies in China, and many others wanted to lead the new technological race. OpenAI became part of this race, not only a research laboratory. Inside the organization, Sam Altman and Greg Brockman continued to play different but connected roles. Sam focused on strategy, partnerships, and long-term direction. Greg focused on engineering, testing, and daily operations. Elon Musk's influence remained as part of the company's early history, but OpenAI moved in another direction without him. The technology also created social impact. It helped people study, write, and communicate, but it also created confusion in some cases. Large models can produce incorrect or harmful answers. For this reason, OpenAI's teams worked constantly to correct errors, adjust behaviors, and limit dangerous uses. No model is perfect. All of them need supervision. This story is still happening. Artificial intelligence continues to advance. New versions appear every year. Research grows. Products change. And with each new step, new questions emerge about safety, responsibility, and the future. Nothing is completely defined. The next years will shape the future of AI in ways we cannot fully predict yet. You have now reached the end of this long and honest narrative. You learned how OpenAI began, how different people shaped it, how conflicts changed its direction, and how the company grew through pressure, disagreement, investment, and competition. Nothing in this journey was simple, but it was real. Learning English through stories like this can feel easier when you follow the ideas step by step. Today you practiced listening, followed a complete story, and understood many important concepts in simple English. This is real progress. You do not need perfection. You only need consistency, a little every day. To finish, I want to know something from you. Which part of this story was the most interesting for you? Write your answer in the comments. I read everything carefully because understanding what captures your attention helps create new lessons that matter to you.
I'm Alex, and this is Essential English Only. Keep listening, repeating, and developing your English every day. You really learned what matters. See you in the next lesson, focusing on the essentials.